Hello everyone, welcome to PHP Machines. In this episode, we'll create Stopwatch. We'll create today's machine, which is Stopwatch using pure JavaScript. We'll also look at how we can create timers yeah, in JavaScript. So concept-wise, today we'll be working mostly with JavaScript, and we'll use a function called setInterval in order to create a timer. So first of all, let me show how the stopwatch looks and works. So this is the stopwatch, and if you click on start, you can see it starts counting from 1 2 3 4, and here we can see we have three parts. So this is hour, this is minute, and this is second, right? So after 59, after 60 seconds, the minute will increase by 1. So we have a pause button. If you click on pause, then it will stop the timer, and if you click on clear, then it will clear the timer. Again, you can start the stopwatch like this. So the main component that makes the stopwatch work is timer, and in JavaScript we can use a function called setInterval in order to create a timer. So here we have an example. So the function looks like this. We write setInterval and we give a function, and we give the time, right? So this is 1000 millisecond, which will be 1 second. So what this does is it will call this function display hello every 1 second. So we can see here every second it is displaying, it is adding hello in this page. Okay, so if we increase our time to, let's say, 3 seconds, then it will now print hello every 3 seconds. Okay, every 3 seconds this function will get called. So creating a timer is simple in JavaScript. You just write setInterval and give the name of the function to run, and then set the time. Okay, so now let's start creating our today's machine. First of all, let me log into Infinity Free. Let's look at the machines we have created so far. So these are the machines we have created in the previous episodes. Today we'll add stopwatch. So first of all, let's add our stopwatch to this index page. So let's just copy this and paste it here. So this is the name of the folder, and let's name it stopwatch. After that, let's create a folder and name it stopwatch. Inside our stopwatch, first of all, let's create index.php file, and for now let's just print hello. Okay, if we save it now, we can see stopwatch has been added, and if you click on it, it will just print hello. Okay, so now let's start building our machine for today. First of all, we'll try to implement the functionality, and at the end we'll add styling using CSS. So let's work on the functionality first. So let's start our code by writing doctype HTML. So inside HTML we have head and body. Let's add in a title for the page. Let's write it stopwatch. Inside body, first of all, let's give a heading and name it stopwatch. After that, we can see here we have 3 buttons. So let's create the buttons. In order to create a button, we use the button tag, and the first button will be start, second one will be pause, and third button will be clear. After that, let's add in some new lines, and now after that we need a place to put our timer. Okay, so for that, let's create a container, and inside this container we'll add our timer. Okay, so so how we'll do this is we'll create a separate container for hour, a separate one for minute, and a separate one for second. Okay, that way it will be easy to update these values using JavaScript. So to create a container in the same line, we can use span. To create a container in new line, we can use div, and to create containers in the same line, we can use span. So let's create these containers. So we have here a container for hour and minute and second. Let's also give the containers ID so that we can insert the values using JavaScript. So this will be container for hour, this will be container for minute, and this will be container for second. And let's also put in 0, because it will initially start from 0. So after now, if we save it and if we load our page, we can see our heading, 3 buttons, and then our timer. So now let's think how we can implement this timer. So when we click on start, then it should start counting. Okay, every second it should increment the number by 1. So how we can do that? So we can do that using JavaScript. So in order to write JavaScript, just before this closing body tag, we write the script tag, and then inside here we can write our JavaScript code. So first of all, let's make it so that if you click on this button, something will happen. Okay, for that we need to first select our button. So in order to select our start button, let's give it an ID of let's say start. So in order to select this button, we write document.get element by ID, and we give the ID of start. So this will select our button, and now we add an event listener. Okay, so add event liste listener. So we set the event as click, and then we give the function to run when the button is clicked. Okay, so for now let's just alert hello. So what we did here is we selected our button, and then we added a event listener. So event listener takes in the name of the event and then the function to run on that event. Okay, so when we click this button, it will now run this function. So let's see what happens. If I click on start, it says hello. Okay, because we put alert hello here. So now instead of alerting hello, we have to now start our timer. So in order to start our timer in JavaScript, you use the set interval function, and here we have to give the name of the function to run. Let's name it start timer, and then here we give the time. Okay, so 1000 millisecond means 1 second. So what this does is every second it keeps on calling this function. Okay, so we need to now create that function, start timer. So this line will now start our timer. It will call this function every second. So what we need to do now is every second this function will get called. So let's create a variable here and initialize it to 0. So every second this function will get called. So what we can do is we can just increment our variable by 1. Okay, and we can then insert this value in this container. Okay, so to insert the value in that container, we have to first select that container document dot get element by id, and the id is sec, and we use the dot inner html property in order to insert the value. So equals I, so that will now insert this I value of I here, okay, every 1 second. So let's see if it works. If I click on start, then we can see here it has started counting. Okay, so when we click on start, it starts the timer, and then it calls this function every second. The function will increment I by 1, and then we update our value here. Okay, so now our timer has started. Now it is counting. So now what we need to do next is so the counting has started, but on a stopwatch after 59 seconds, when after 60 seconds the minute should increase by 1. Okay, and after 60 minutes hour should increase by 1. So we need to now implement that functionality. So in our current implementation, it just keeps on counting forever. It has gone past 60. So now how can we do that? For that we can think about this conceptually. So here we have hour, minute and second. Okay, so we can think of this conceptually. We need 3 variables to keep track of hour, minute and second. So let's create 3 variables. One will keep track of second, another will keep track of minute, and another will keep track of hour. Okay, so now let's so what should we do next? Every second we need to increase our second. Okay, because in a stopwatch every second the second increases. After that every 60 second minute should be increased by 1. So how can we do that? Simply here we first of all need to increase our second by 1. Okay, so every second this function will get called. So the first thing we do is we increase the second by 1. Now we need to write the logic to increase our minute. Okay, so when should the minute be increased? So if second reaches 60, then we need to increase our minute by 1. Okay, and we need to reset our second to 0. So this will take care of our minute. So this will take care of increasing our minute when second reaches 60. Okay, similarly after 60 minute, if the minute reaches 60, then we simply increase our hour by 1, and at the same time we reset our minute and we reset our second. Okay, so this way now every second our function gets called, and our minute and hour will get updated appropriately. Okay, after 60 seconds and after 60 minutes. Finally we need to update our values in these boxes. So for that we write document dot get element by id. So let's select our hour container, and inside here let's put in the value of hour. Similarly inside the minute and inside the second containers, we just put in the minute variable and then second variable. So now let's save it and let's see if our machine works. If we click on start, then it will start counting. Now let's see if after 60 seconds our minute increases by 1. Okay, so let's see. So we can see here it has reached 57, 58, 59, 60. So we can see here after 60 seconds the minute has increased by 1. So looks like our timer is working correctly. So next let's implement our pause. So what should pause do? If we start our timer and if we click on pause, it should stop the timer. Okay, so for that JavaScript provides us with another function called clear interval. So how clear interval works is it's simple. You just when we create our interval, we have to save the return value to a variable. Okay, so you have to save set interval into a variable, and then in order to clear this timer, we just call clear interval and then give in the variable that holds this timer. Okay, so let's do that. So when we click on our pause, it should clear the timer. Okay, so for that let's select our pause button first. So our pause is let's give it an ID of pause. We add in an event listener when we click on the pause. Then what should we do? We should clear this interval. Okay, but in order to clear this interval, first we need to save it somewhere. So let's create a interval variable and let's just save our interval here in this variable. So now in order to clear this interval, it's simple. We just call clear interval and then we pass in this variable. Okay, interval. So that will clear this timer that that this variable is holding. So let's see if this works now. So if we click on start, our timer has started. If we click on pause, then it clears the timer. Okay, now what happens if we click on start again? We can see it started, it continued counting from 3. Okay, so how did that happen? So the way that worked was when we clicked on pause, we cleared the interval. Okay, but when we clicked on start again, then it again created another timer. Okay, and it again starts calling this function every second. But since our variables are here and we are not resetting our variables, it will start incrementing from those values that were stored in these variables. Okay, so that's why it continues. So if I pause, then it stops at 8. So second variable has 8. If I click on start, then this function gets called again and it starts incrementing from that value. Okay, from that same value 8. So now the final thing remaining is to implement this clear. So what should clear do? If I start and if I pause, if I click on clear, it should reset our timer to 0. Okay, so for that let's add an ID for our clear button. Let's name it clear. After giving an ID, we can now select that button and add an event listener. So the ID is clear. So now what we can do here is when clear button is clicked, first of all we should clear the interval. Okay, so that the timer stops. After that we should also make these values 0. Okay, so for that we just give, so we just set the values of these containers, hour, minute and second, right? These containers we set the values as 0. Now let's see if this works. So if I click on start and if I pause, this pauses. If I click on clear, it clears our values. Okay, and what happens if I click on start again? We can see it started counting from 3. So that didn't work. So what we also need to do is we need to clear these variables. Okay, so minute, second, minute and hour, so that it starts counting from 0 again. So we need to reset our variables So second will be 0, minute will be 0, and then hour will be 0. So here we have resetted the variables second, minute and hour. Okay, that will now reset the values to 0. So if I click on start, and if I pause at 5, if I click on clear, it resets to 0. The variables are also resetted. Now if we click on start, then it starts counting from 0 again. Okay, because our variables have been resetted. So looks like our stopwatch is working correctly. If I pause, if I click clear, if I click on start, it starts counting. If I click on clear, it clears. If I click on start, it starts counting. So now the final thing remaining is to make our page look nice. So for that, now let's add styling so that it looks similar to this. Okay, so to add styling to our page, first of all, let's add a background color. If you search for color names W3 schools, then W3 schools has this page that has color names. So let's pick this color. In order to add styling, we have to inside head we start with the style tag, and we put our CSS code inside here. Okay, so first of all, let's give our background of our body this color. So I selected body tag and then gave a background color of this indigo. Okay, so that will change our color of our page. After that, let's change the text color to white. That will change our text to white. Let's also text align everything to the center. That will push everything to the center. After that, we can also change the font style. So we can use a font like Tahoma. After that, let's now increase our heading size. So let's select our heading and then give a font size of something like 120 pixels. That will now increase our heading. After that, now let's add style to our buttons. In order to add style to our buttons, we need to select our button. First of all, let's increase the font size to something like 40 pixel. Let's change the background color to black. See, okay. And let's change the text color to white. Now let's add padding inside here. So first of all, let's also let's correct this to be clear. Now let's give it a padding of something like 20 pixel and 40 pixel. After that, we can also change our cursor. Let's also remove this outline or border. For that, we can set outline to none and border to none. After that, we can give the cursor as pointer. That will change our mouse to a hand. We can see here it has changed to a hand. We can also change the color of our button when we hover over it. So for that, we use a hover pseudo selector, and when we hover, we can change our colors. So let's just switch these colors. Let's make the background white and let's make the color black. Okay, we can see here now when you hover over it, it changes the color. Finally, let's increase our font size for this timer. For that, let's give the ID of something like count, and let's select that ID. Now let's increase the font size to something like let's say 80 pixel. So we can see it has increased. Let's increase it to 100 pixel. So the size has increased. Finally, let's just add in a little bit of space at the top. For that, inside body we can use padding top and give something like 100 pixels so that it adds a little space to the top. So now if we click on start, our timer starts counting. If we click on pause, it pauses, and if we click on clear, it clears. If I click on start, it starts counting. So in this way our machine has been completed. Today we looked mainly into JavaScript, and using pure JavaScript and using a function that creates timers, we have created Stopwatch today. um, I hope you have learned something in this episode. If you like this episode, please click like, share and subscribe. In the next episodes we'll continue creating other useful machines using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP and other technologies. So this much for now. Thanks for watching.